All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA Western Conference Finals video. In this video, we're going to break down, recap, and talk about what I like and what I didn't like about Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So, I have a lot of notes to get through. I have a lot of thoughts, but right here at the top, obviously the elephant in the room, which I will address about this game, is that the refs are what they are when you're playing Oklahoma, and there was one very egregious one that's been floating around online, and I'll get to it at the end of the video. But from my from my point of view, I really didn't feel the refs this game, and that feels weird to say. They were there, they did impact the game and the outcome of this game, but like visually watching it, at least like for the first like two quarters, some of the third, and then the fourth got kind of ridiculous, and some of the third got kind of ridiculous too. But um, it wasn't that big of a factor to me. Now, having looking back on it and seeing the outrage online, and obviously, when people can get clips and play clips over and over and over again, and you can see it from multiple different angles, my opinion changes, and I think the refs obviously played a part in this game, and it's unfortunate that's the way it is, and that's the way that Oklahoma and the NBA have decided to put their product on display, is going to the free throw line, and they think people find that entertaining. And in the moment, I didn't think it was bad. Looking back on it, it was pretty egregious. But let me get into my notes here for the game. The Oklahoma City Thunder had their regular suspects out, that being Jalen Williams, regular Jalen Williams, not Jayln Williams. AJ Mitchell was out, and because of those injuries, Coach Mark Daigneault for the Oklahoma City Thunder decided to put in a brand new player into the starting lineup. I don't think he might have started some garbage games at the end of the year, but I don't think he started a lot of games, period, this year, and that was Jared McCain. Jared McCain got the start for Oklahoma, played a pretty big part in the second half of this game. Not so much the first half, but the second half. He did what he does best as a closer, as a tough shot maker, a tough shot taker, and he did a lot of good things. And I will say Jared McCain, Kason Wallace, two of my favorite Thunder players. Not too many likable players on this Thunder team, but certainly those are two of them. So I was happy for Jared McCain in that respect, watching him throughout the course of this game. Now, just some funny stuff here. Oklahoma City decided to wear white. I think this is like the second or third time they've worn white all playoffs. And it's funny because it was at home, and that's usually what it used to be. White at home, color on the road, and the NBA sort of strayed away from that, and they brought it back for this night, this matchup, and it looked fine. It looked great. This is something I noticed. Um, the other thing, the Spurs throughout this game, but more importantly in the first quarter, like the first minutes of the first quarter, were settling. They were settling far too often, far too early for threes, for jump shots, for like full court passes in transition that sometimes paid off, but like sometimes the pass would go out of bounds, the play would step out of bounds, and it just wasn't great overall. And it was a recurring trend for this team, and they shot 29% from three for the game. When you shoot that low of a percentage from three, you deserve to lose the game. It's not because you're taking bad. It's not because you're taking good shots and you're missing them. It's not because you're taking wide open shots and you're missing them. It's because you're just settling for these stupid shots. That you just can't settle in these situations. This Western Conference Final situation. You have an opportunity, to go up 3-2, head back home and win. And they kind of fumbled that opportunity. Um, Although getting throughout the course of the game and after they stopped sort of settling for these shots and sort of found their groove a little bit more, they did have Julian Champagnie finally awake from his coma, his comatose state. 22 points in the night in 30 minutes, 4 of 8 from three, 8 of 15 from field goal, 8 rebounds, 3 steals. 1 assist. He did get in a bit of foul trouble, which hampered his playing time overall. I think if he could have, should have stayed out of foul trouble, he could have played more, played a bigger part in them trying to win this game. And it was unfortunate that the calls that he did get weren't like just like the refs favoring OKC. It was bad screens. It was lazy screens, and he just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. So that's all on him. I'm not even gonna try to defend Julian Champagny. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. A lot of moments in this game. Um, there were a lot of inconvenient turnovers for both teams. First end of the first, beginning of the second. Not bad turnovers, just inconvenient. Like you know that like that's a pass they usually make. That's a pass they've made all season. Or somebody's supposed to be in a position they're not, and they're not there, just like 1 second behind, because they're getting grabbed or they fell going down the court, whatever the case may be. It was just inconvenient passes for both teams, and it was sort of kind of awkward because it was like these are the two teams that are going to come out of the West. One of these teams is going to come out, and the passes were just a little airheaded. It was back and forth most of the second quarter. Spurs fighting to get the lead. They almost got there with about like half of the second quarter left, and they just they continued the bad shooting. They continued the stupid fouls, and they let Oklahoma keep their lead. And it never really felt like the Spurs were very comfortable in this game. I don't know if it's because of the constant stoppage of the whistle and then picking up their fouls. I personally, like I said at the top, I couldn't parse whether the Spurs were legitimately fouling or having like these bad calls, or the Thunder were getting bailed out by the refs. Um, I couldn't tell at this point. It felt like the Spurs were just showing a lot of their inexperience and a lot of their I won't say unwillingness, but unlike seasoned, they're just this is their first playoff run, you know. It's tough to know those moments when they come, and when they're upon you. And Oklahoma has been in this. They've done this. They've funny enough. They've been the Spurs. They've been in the Spurs situation, and now they're on the opposite side of it. And they know these moments. They know these little things add up, and whether the refs are favoring them or not favoring them. They know the tricks. They know the tricks of the trade. They know what to do. They know how to sway. Little runs. And they just do all the smart, like annoying stuff. And it really took a toll on the Spurs this game. Like this was like one of like the worst halves, not say halves of basketball, but just halves for the Spurs because they just couldn't get anything going. And this was sort of the same story when they played the first two games in Oklahoma. Where like obviously game one they won, right? Yeah, they won that one, double overtime, and they got through a lot of the smart, savvy stuff that the Oklahoma City Thunder did. And then in game two, they suffered the same fate that they did in this game five. And then, yeah, it just didn't end well. It didn't feel well. It didn't end well, and it just felt like the Spurs were just overmatched. Even though they're the best equipped team, they still felt overmatched, just in the experience category, which is to be expected. Um, Continuing my note here, obviously from the first half into the second half now, after halftime, the Spurs felt cluttered. They felt offbeat. Nothing going great, just playing okay, but okay isn't good enough. And yeah, that pretty much sums up how I felt. This is a note from the game. I take notes during the game, and I just felt like the Spurs were cluttered. They didn't feel like they did at home, obviously, because they're in Oklahoma now. Um, I have a thought, and I'm going to save the thought here, but I have a thought about the outcome of this series in general. Um, Wemby at some point got in the huddle. He was trying to help hype his guys up because they were down like big. I think they were down like 20 or like 19, 18 points. It felt like it was going to be one of those games where the Spurs were going to wave the white flag at the fourth quarter, and the Thunder were going to get to be able to sit on the bench for the fourth quarter as well. And Wemby, Wemby's words, they did something. because the Spurs cut through the OKC lead like butter. They looked like they were finally going on that run that they did in Game 1 in Oklahoma. Um, the Spurs keep hitting the much needed threes to keep the game close, and they were staying around in the third quarter. And then that section of time between the end of the third and then like beginning of the fourth, I would say, um, went away. It just fell apart again. The Spurs were playing too sloppy for this to be a critical game. Um, OKC benefited off them being sloppy. They got to pad their lead. They didn't even try to blow the Spurs out. They were just like, let's keep it like 10 to 15 points ahead of them, and we can win this game in hand. You know, they can have it in hand the whole game, and that's what Oklahoma did. And it's just another savvy thing to like, we don't need to blow these guys out. We just need to keep them at bay. You know, we just need to keep them at bay and enough so they can't make a run on the fourth, and we have to go to another overtime game like we did in Game 1. Um, the Spurs fell back into taking so many jumpers, and even when they took these jumpers this time, it was just so like I want to say late in the game, but it was just so like the energy was just so low for the Spurs, and it was so they'd come off that really high of coming back in this game that they started taking the jumpers, and they didn't even get the second chance points. They didn't even care to get the second chance points, and Wemby did not have a particularly great rebounding game, only 6 rebounds. Julian Champagnie had more rebounds than him, 8. Nobody on the Spurs had more than 8 rebounds. I see one, 4, 5, 4, 4, 4, 6. And then Oklahoma had 2 people with 10 plus rebounds and had multiple people near 5 plus rebounds. So they were getting it done there, and I don't want to say these are hard rebounds to get, but the Oklahoma got had some gimme rebounds. They just had some like easy ones that just came to them, and they just wanted it more at the end of the day. And um, at this point, it was the closing moments of the actual starters being out there for the Spurs, and I started to have some thoughts. And my first thought, not the original thought that I had a couple minutes ago, but my thought um, about this Spurs team, just thinking about it and seeing what the improved game that Chet had, Isaiah Hartenstein doing his thing for Oklahoma, J. Lynn Williams, J.A.Y.L. Lynn Williams, Lou Zhang Dort, all the people that rebounded at least on Oklahoma that weren't bigs or were bigs. Even though the Spurs team is a semi inconsistent rebounding team as a team, they have one great rebounder in Victor Wembanyama, but as a team they don't rebound well. Um, Certain nights, I had a thought, and I was like, the Spurs need a real four. It can't be Julian Champagnie. It can't be Keldon Johnson. It's rough out there when Wemby's the only big body, because you can only run Luke and Wemby so much together, and then Oklahoma takes advantage of that, so they just have to have Victor out there, but like, somebody said this on Twitter. You can't be wasting roster spots on Harrison Barnes, Kelly Olynyk, Bismack Biyombo, Mason Plumlee just not to play. You know, those are 4 big bodies, bigger bodies, but they're not playing. They not that they can't play. Well, they probably can't play in this series, but they have no place on this team really, and you're wasting those roster spots on it. And um, specifically, I need to. I begged. I said, Julian Champagnie, stop shooting in the last like 4 videos I made about this series, and now I've let Keldon Johnson sneak by a little bit. Keldon Johnson, buddy, you're not going to be a Spur next season. I'm sorry to inform you, you will no longer be a Spur next season. You will be somewhere else. Because the play this series, the boneheaded stuff, inexcusable. You're not a young guy anymore. You've been in the league a long time. I understand this is like one of your first real playoff series. He's 26 years old. You've been around. You've been around since 2019. Yeah, buddy, it's time. You're not gonna be a Spur next year. I'm sorry to tell you. You're gonna be in a trade for some big name. It's just not gonna happen. You and De'Aaron Fox, you're done. It's over. I'm sorry. It's over. We just can't. This team, the path forward isn't through you guys. It's through even Julian Champagnie. Julian Champagnie can go. I don't care. You guys know how I feel about Julian Champagnie. But the team is Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, Um, Dylan Harper, who didn't play well this game either, but he's a rookie. Um, Carter Bryant, maybe. Devin Vassell, and that's it. That's the core I need. That's the core I want. And if it means if I have to get rid of everybody else and every draft pick I have for the next whatever many years, the next back half of this decade to get, you know, I'm not gonna say Kawhi because Kawhi was already in San Antonio. Probably doesn't want to go back, but Kawhi, um, Giannis, Devin Booker, even hell, why not? j- I- y- that's my core group right there. These older ish guys, I understand. Okay, they're here for the experience. They're here to lead. They're here to bring in a culture. Well, guess what? Victor Wembanyama's the leader now. They have a culture. They know what they are. You got these young guards who haven't played the best in this playoff series, but will get better over time. That's it. It's the future. It's now. The winning needs to start now. There's no excuse like, oh, keeping these older guys on the team just for experience, whatever. If Victor likes one of them, hell, if you want to keep Harrison Barnes, him and Victor Wembanyama in a book club together, keep them to keep Wemby happy. But like everybody else that isn't named Harrison Barnes or whatever, I don't need on this team anymore. It's just ridiculous. It's gotten to a point where it's like, I see the lineups that I run out there, and I just want to uh, it just drives me crazy because it's like there's one move that you could make, to just make this team better. You just need a real four. That's all you need, Just one real four, one real power forward. That's all you need, because Keldon Johnson's supposed to be sixth man of the year. He's water boy of the year. He's get the towels man of the year. He's been awful. He had 15 points tonight, but it was the lamest 15 points I've ever seen because it didn't do anything. It didn't help. It didn't galvanize the group. It didn't help lead the comeback. It just looked awful. He looked awful, and he reminds me a lot of um was it Grant Williams on the Boston Celtics a couple years ago. That's who Keldon Johnson reminds me of. Like he's a great locker room guy. Like everybody likes him. He's been with the team a really long time. He was a draft pick by them. But in order to go to that next level, all that stuff needs to go out the window, and we just need to focus on. I understand this is a good guy. He was one of the first pieces of the original rebuild. He needs to go now though. He's not a playoff player. He hasn't done anything to like make me go, oh yeah, we need to keep that guy, because we're gonna keep running into this team. We're gonna run this team for the next like 2-3 years, and that's gonna be it. And this Oklahoma team isn't even healthy right now. So for you guys to lose in such devastating fashion to a team that isn't even healthy is very concerning. And I grew very concerned with the direction of this team. I think Mitch Johnson has sort of won me over a little bit. I'm still a little like on him, but as the coach of the Spurs, I'm like, okay. But at some point, when I've moved off not hating Miss Johnson, disliking the way Miss Johnson does things, I have to turn around and say, wait, is it him or is it just the people he has access to on this team? Because if any other coach had to play Julian Champagny or Keldon Johnson on a night to night basis in critical playoff games, I don't think these guys would play. I think they would rather play whoever else is on some of these other remaining playoff teams or teams that have been eliminated. Because man, it's a tough spot, and um, it just blows my mind how like bad this team is sometimes. And they're young, and I keep saying that they're young, but like the young guy, who isn't a young guy, De'Aaron Fox, 9 points this game, 0-4 from three. Didn't even feel him out there. Didn't even once think, oh, there goes De'Aaron Fox. 8 assists, 3 steals, 4 rebounds. What was that 2-3 personal fouls in 33 minutes? That can't do. Devin Vassell, he's actually the one lone shooter, and it flipped completely. Devin Vassell had a Julian Champagny game, and Julian Champagny had a Devin Vassell game. And if both of them can have a combined game where they're both really good, I think this team has a better fighting chance. But when only one of these guys, when only one of your shooters has got it going, it can't sustain like this. Um, like I said, I'm not gonna blame the refs for this game. There was just some young, stupid fouls by the Spurs. The Oklahoma City Thunder capitalized on all of this. Shea had 32, 17 free throws taken, 16 made, 9 assists, 6 turnovers. Chet Holmgren 16 and 11, a double double for him, one block, one steal. Isaiah Hartenstein 12 and 15. Lou Dort 4 rebounds, 7 points. Jared McCain 20 points as a starter. Alex Caruso 22 points off the bench. And 7 points for Kason Wallace and Kenrich Williams off the bench as well for Oklahoma. They flexed their muscle. They flexed their championship muscle. They did everything they were supposed to do. They held it down at home. And now they have to go to San Antonio to play the Spurs tomorrow and possibly win to go back to the NBA Finals to play the Knicks. My thought about this series and this game in particular for the Spurs is like, you probably should have won this game, because then you go home and we know you can win at home. It's very easy for you guys to win at home, and Oklahoma has looked really bad in San Antonio. But I don't care if the Spurs win game 6. I really don't. Game 7 is going to be the toughest game and the most ridiculous game of basketball you've ever seen. As a Spurs fan, because Oklahoma is going to do everything in their power, and they're going to pull something out of where to win that game. I would have loved for the Spurs to win this game and then go home and this series practically be over. That would have brought me so much joy. But instead, you decide to take the hard route. You're going to play Game 7. It's just going to happen, and you are not going to. It's not going to be an enjoyable Game 7. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really hard. And I'm speaking as if Game 6 has already happened, because I believe the Spurs will win Game 6 and come back here to Oklahoma to play the Thunder and potentially go to their first final since, what was that, 2016, 2017 for the Spurs? It's been a minute. So that's my thoughts. Now, we can get to the refereeing part of this game. And I'll talk about it a little bit. There was a moment in this game. I have a whole clip of it, actually. I can't show you guys, but I'm gonna watch it here. So this is from a Hater Report on on X or on Twitter. The Spurs have the ball down 88-98. Refs miss a goaltending call. This is all like in the end of the third quarter, where I said the shenanigans started. Refs miss a goaltending call. The ball goes off Chet's foot. They ignore the coach's challenge request. SGA gets a free throw. Miss Johnson gets hit with a tag. Lou Dort and the ref, Tony Brothers, laughing about it on the sidelines. And there's a quote at the bottom from this account that I agree with but I won't say. I'll link this down below if you want to check it out. And check out the clip because this clip is pretty damning. Nevertheless, what irked me was Mitch Johnson not getting his challenge called when he was waving his finger around or whatever, right? That irked me because in San Antonio, I believe it was Game 3 or Game 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder got a very late challenge. Like, the ball had been inbounded, it was in the Spurs' hands, and they were about to inbound it, or they might have inbounded it. Like, the ball was midair before it touched the inboundee's hands, and the refs let them challenge it. For the refs not to let Coach Mitch Johnson do this is deplorable, and it's disgusting, because if we're not going to let it's one thing to let the players play rough. It's another thing to not recognize a coach when he wants to do something. Coaches jump up and down on the sidelines, but it's been the universal sign when you wave your finger around a circle that you want to challenge. You time out, wave your finger around, right? And they just didn't do it. And I understand. Some people might not know. Some people, I understand this, that the refs have like a little earpiece now in, right, that they can hear stuff, and they can hear stuff from the people in Secaucus and the refereeing center in Secaucus or whatever. And sometimes you can't hear the coach. Listen, if you're going to have an earpiece in, like you're some undercover informant or whatever, you got to keep your eyes up. And when your eyes aren't up, you're looking at something down the floor. You have to recognize this guy, Mitch Johnson, was at mid-court waving his hand around, and they did not give it to him. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And I'm sorry to the 3 Oklahoma fans or whatever, that actually, want to not hear this. But Oklahoma is one of the most fabricated, like wannabe fabricated dynasties ever. And I said this before when they won game two, I think. I feel no joy when I watch Oklahoma. I feel no joy. I feel nothing. Teams like this are supposed to inspire something. They're supposed to like mean something, you know. Outside of Oklahoma, the Oklahoma City Thunder don't mean anything. Nobody likes anybody on Oklahoma. I like two of the players on Oklahoma. Nobody cares about Oklahoma. And it's very weird because why do you want? I understand why you want 7 games because it means more money, obviously. But I don't understand why you making it so hard for an easy layup of Spurs versus New York to be the much more entertaining series than Oklahoma versus New York. I don't know why the NBA is like pushing this narrative, and I don't know why the NBA is so infatuated and loves fabricating narratives because that's not what real basketball is. That's not what real like. I'm not talking just the game of basketball, like the overall encompassing sport of basketball. You know, the players, the teams, the fans, the iconic nature of some of these teams. I don't think as the Spurs. I don't think of Oklahoma as an iconic team. I think of them as like this little like brother team that has won like these. Oh, I'm gonna use the term a lot of people Mickey Mouse championships where it's like yeah, okay, you've won because of X, Y, and Z, and not because of your actual skill. Um, and I do think, in my heart of hearts, I said this in my Eastern Conference Finals video, my last one, where I think the Knicks have a chance against Oklahoma in a fair 4 to 7 game series with the refs and everything in Oklahoma. You know, in siding with Oklahoma and a lot of things. I feel it is an uphill battle even for a good team like New York. And I feel as if um, this finals will be sullied even further, like this Western Conference Finals has been sullied by just bad calls. And if that's where we're going with basketball, then that's where we're going. And they're just going to keep jamming Oklahoma down our throats, and we're just going to have to keep enjoying it until somebody comes around and knocks them out. And I hope it does happen. And it could happen. And I'm talking like it's all doom and gloom. And we could have a game 7 on, what was it? It would be Saturday. And the Spurs could go to the finals. And we could all be happy and we could say, F the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were never the champs. And then Oklahoma fans were like, we were injured. We didn't have all their stars. You know, whatever. Yeah, whatever. And this could all be for nothing. But I grow very tired of seeing Oklahoma already. And if I have to see them in another finals, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I know a lot of people share this sentiment with me, so that's why I'm over here talking about it. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. That was game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. And yeah, I will see you guys, I guess, tomorrow. Tomorrow? I don't know when. Let me see. Schedule. Yeah, I will see you guys on Friday. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday. Yeah, you guys will get a little break. Might be some WNBA stuff coming up soon. We'll see. And yeah, the end screen should be playing right now. Check out my NBA draft stuff. Check out the video on the left. Check out the playlist on the right. If you click my icon right in the middle of the screen, a little subscribe will pop up, and you can subscribe with ease. Like and comment as well. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.